Davis, who played drums on this classic Tenement Yard track. Listen to a dub here off of the 90 and the Observers album. And Santa, you played in the Soul Syndicate. We had Tony Chin in last week, and we were talking a little bit about how some of these records wind up with different names on them, you know. So you might have 90 and the Observers, same way playing on it. You might wind up playing on a track credited to the Aggravators, or some all-stars with a producer's name in front of it. So, and even sometimes checking the credits on the album doesn't always help that much. Like we were just talking about, some of these songs wind up getting miscredited over the years too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, we were one of the main studio band in Jamaica.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we were one of the people that people would really come to when they want certain things. You know what I mean?
A certain sound.
But yeah, but all these different people had their own little studio name as far as the Aggravators.
Right. So depending if you were working with a producer like Bunny Lee, or
yeah. So it just depends on who you work with. You know, you end up, you know, like Phil Pratt All Star.
Right.
Or, you know, you might work for whoever, you know, and then you end up with their thing to identify their thing. But it's always us. You
so
know?
When did you really start playing drums?
I started playing drums. Actually, it started way back when I was 11 years old, playing in drum corps. But then after that,
and this in school, drum corps in school.
Yeah, actually, with a church. Started playing drum, like in a drum corps, and then from that, I just
like marching rhythms, and band,
right.
Okay.
And then I
seemed like a lot of the great drummers really come out of playing in bands like that.
Right. So then, you know, I transitioned to playing regular drums like trap set.
Yes.
Like in like 68, 69. And then I hooked up with Fully and them in like 1969. Yeah.
Right.
You know.
As part of the Soul Syndicate.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a family thing because their parents and my parents were friends.
Oh, yes.
You know, Fully's dad used to, my stepfather was his boss.
Oh,
You know, they used to work at this place. You know, like how you have Caltrans or whatever.
Right.
You know, then it was like the Public Works Department in Jamaica that
deals
all the roads and bridges and whatever. So it was kind of something like that. And my stepfather actually, you know, he was kind of like Fully's dad, boss or whatever, you know, so. But then, you know, I used to like stay over their house with my mom. I had to go do some stuff, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like a family thing. So I know Fully and them for like, we're family, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Great. So what would be some of the earliest records that you played on? Or who was the first producer you went in the studio with?
Bunny Lee.
With Bunny Lee, yeah.
He actually came, he had a session to do one time. I think it was with the Twinkle Brothers.
Yes.
That's when they were just coming out.
Right,
And he came and he hired the whole band. By then we didn't know what, you know, what the whole rates and all that was. We were just a band, and he came and he hired.
No wonder Bunny Lee hired you.
and he just paid one flat fee.
Yes.
I mean, we were kids, and I mean, we were like, oh, what? You know,
happy to play, yeah.
Going to the studios. It wasn't about the money thing, you know.
Yes.
It was about, you know, going into the studios and making music, you know.
Right, great.
So that was kind of like a thrill, and we laid on a couple of songs that the Twinkle Brothers did, and then some of those rhythms actually got used up, actually got sang on by Delroy Wilson.
Great.
A song that called What It Was, or Can't Explain. He sang a song, What It Was, I Can't Explain. He did, you know, so, you know, that was the first time I actually went in the studio.
Great.
And, you know, we laid on those tracks because the thing is this, because we were such a cohesive unit.
Yes.
We rehearsed every day.
And this is with Fully Fullwood, Tony Chin,
Chinna, and
Keith Sterling, or
no, Keith Sterling came in later on. You know, was a different keyboard player.
Okay.
A guy called O'Neill Walker.
O'Neill Walker.
He was a very quiet dude, but he could play. You know.
Yeah. Great.
And we ended up going into the studios and working on those tracks, and then all of a sudden, you know, there was a bunch of other producers in the studio, like Phil Pratt and all those people, and they were like, where these guys come from? You know, because they couldn't understand how we were just churning up music like that.
Right.
Like every song was different, you know, and there was no sitting around 10 hours trying to get something done. You know, we just boom, boom, boom.
Great,
you know?
great.
And all of a sudden, that's where what you call it now, the need for us came about, you know what I mean?
Right.
People said, wait a minute, and then we start getting sessions.
Excellent.
And then all of a sudden the name spread, and you know.
Yeah. And of course, sometimes you would pick up a session as a drummer with other players.
Right, because
Yeah.
what I used to do, you know, we'd go together as a unit. Like me and Fully
Right.
was like bass and drum team.
Yes.
And sometimes the band.
Right.
And what happened, other producers said, okay, I need Santa to play with Robbie or play
Or
with...
looking for a certain sound.
They would
Yeah.
blend the sound fully to play
So,
with.
so
Yeah.
you mentioned Sun is Shining. Tell me how you came to play on that song with Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Well, it was the same kind of thing, you know. Lee Scratch Perry, I mean, he was doing his thing, and he hired us to do the track, and we went in.
Right.
And it was at Randy's studio downtown,
Yes.
Kingston, right? And there's a funny story about that song. Went into the studio,
Right.
and you know, Scratch is a real producer, an arranger too. You know, he's not just a fluke that people think, oh, he's just some crazy man. He is a arranger. He tells you and picture to you what he wants.
Great.
So that day in the studio, you know, get ready to play the song. And as a drummer, you play everything on your drum. You play the hi-hat and everything.
Yeah.
So
The whole kit.
So yeah, so I'm getting ready to play, and he came over to me and said, "You know what? I don't want a hi-hat in this song." I said, "What do you mean?" And as a drummer, you know, that's kind of your balance. You know, you kind of that's your balance. So
Keeping your rhythm there. Yeah.
Yeah. So doing it without that is like having one arm. You know, so I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So I'm sitting there, and you know what he said? You know, as a matter of fact, give me this. He took it out of the control room and said, you might get you know, you might try to play. So he took it out, so that because he wanted a certain effect.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't want no in the song, so that song was played without a hi-hat. And
Fantastic.
you know, and that's how that song came about.
Now, what's interesting, because Perry licensed those tracks to so many people, at some point they almost became like public domain, and you actually have raw 16-track unmixed versions of that online that anybody can download the thing, and so those sessions probably are some of the most remixed reggae things you're ever going to find. So there definitely are versions of that with hi-hat now.
Right. Yeah. Right. But and also, I don't know if you remember, there was a time in Jamaica when they were talking about Mr. Brown, this cough running around town.
Yeah.
And we did that song too.
Right.
I think we did both songs that day, Mr. Brown and Sun is Shining. And then after that, that's where that rhythm was. If you listen to Duppy Conqueror, what they made after that.
Right.
That was kind of like a version of Mr. Brown.
Version that track.
So they did.
Yeah.
So they call it.
We're talking live in the studio with the drummer Santa Davis. We're going to be playing some of his new music, but while we're talking about it, let's give a listen to the original version, Bob Marley and the Wailers' Sun is Shining.